Alright guys, so I figured here's another video that needs to be made. Excuse my voice, so I'm trying to talk over all these filters and everything else that are going on. Alright, so basically, my filtration systems. I don't own a lot of commercially made filtration systems. Almost all of them are ones that I made based off of videos and other projects that I found online. Alright, so to start off, I've got this one. Down here is a filter box. I bought that filter box from Lowe's. Inside of it is a filter or two separate filter pads. One's coarse, one's more fine. Followed by a couple of bio balls. Then my pump. The pump that's in there is roughly 500 pumps, roughly 500 gallons per hour. It pumps up this pipe through this hose into this filter. Now if you look, my filter itself is a 3-drawer storage bin. The way I've got this 3-drawer storage bin set up is like you'll find many times on a lot of do-it-yourself freshwater aquarium sites. Alright? In this first drawer, even though it's not necessary, I've got quilt batting. I went to Walmart, I bought this, it was roughly $7 for I don't know how many square feet, followed by a couple of more coarse padding and more coarse padding that drains underneath. If you look, it showers completely across the entire bottom, the entire base of this box. It showers down to the next level. For the next level, these are pot scrubbies. For us in America, you can find these at any home or any dollar store for relatively cheap. They're a pack of 6 for roughly $1. And I don't know how many I have in here. I think I purchased roughly 24 packs. So 24 times 6, somebody can do the math on that. That's roughly how many I have. It was more than what I needed for just this one filter, so that you're aware. And again, it rains down from the top through those holes all the way down. I didn't necessarily need to use this last box, but I did anyway just because it helps to provide a little bit more stability and support for the two of them. But in this last box, I sacked it. I can't open it any further, as you can see, because of my drain here. It filters down through the lava rock. Once it filters through the lava rock, it passes through these holes, down this drain, and into my return, into my tank. So under normal circumstances, this tank would technically be a sump to whatever was above it. So this is the filter. That's how this tank runs. My 220 gallon is running on a similar system. So again, water flows, it's in the tank. Obviously these are my returns. They push the water through the tank. The water is keeping my bottom clear. I've got them pointed down so that they blow across the bottom. It hits the returns and the overflows, or ups through the overflows. Passes down the overflows through a siphon. Down under my tank. So here's the hoses. One's a return. The top hole here, the top pipe is my return. The bottom pipe is my overflow. We'll trace the return because we got to it first. So I put a little T here for my return. It flows down to my pump right here. This is a Mag Drive 7 pump. You can purchase on Amazon or you can purchase online of roughly, I think, $150, $200, about, roundabout, is how much that pump costs. That's the most expensive thing on my filtration. This is a 40-gallon breeder. I could definitely go a lot bigger, but the 40-gallon breeder works for what I do. This is the exact same system I had set up on my, when my Matamata was in this setup, or in this 220, or in a 220. So the same system works regardless of whether it's for just fish or for my turtles. So again, return line runs straight across, down. That's a bulkhead right here. The return on this side, the one I showed you, is this right pipe down into this filter. The exact same thing. It's basically a trickle tower made out of a 3-drawer storage chest. The exact same setup. And this one, I've got the same thing going on. It flows in. I've got a filter pad. This one is a black filter pad, so coarse filter media first. In between, if you look through the pane, because it's easier to see that way, I've got the same floss, the same quilt batting, and then underneath I have another coarse filter pad. The exact same way. It drains down to the second drawer. Within the second drawer, the exact same setup. The same number of pot scrubbies was enough for both of these aquariums. So for this one as well as my 300-gallon up there. So I got the same pot scrubbies. This allows for the water to trickle down. It creates a very high oxygen but very moist area, perfect for the nitrifying bacteria that helps to break down the waste. Down, that bottom layer again contains lava rock. It passes through the lava rock and then drains out the holes that I've got pre-drilled in here. This is one system. The entire point behind the system is to create a lot of surface area for my biological bacteria. The biological filtration, the bacteria, the nitrifying bacteria is what does all the breaking down of the waste. So it converts harmful elements, which are your ammonia and your nitrites, into less harmful elements, being your nitrates. The reason we do water changes and pretty large water changes on our aquariums is to minimize the amount of nitrates in the water. So again, we want to go from something harmful like ammonia, which is extremely acidic, and break it down and convert it into something that's a lot more neutral or a lot more basic, which is going to be your nitrates. So it goes ammonia to nitrites, from nitrites to nitrates. The nitrates are going to be harmful to fish, not so much to the turtles that we keep, but it's still, we want to get rid of them because they're not necessary, and it's still a waste product of their poop. Their poop and their pee. Alright? So that's how these two aquariums are set up. This is, or my two bigger systems are set up, or large systems. I've got 3 large systems. But that's how these guys are set up. Even when it comes to standard filters, or standard aquariums, the same principles apply. Alright, so that's my larger tube. I'm not going to go through hang on the back filters. You've seen these dozens, I'm sure, dozens to hundreds of times. They don't matter. I don't really care. So I'm not going to go into what's going on my temporary setup for my baby, my younger Mata. On this aquarium, and the whole reason I'm even making this video is I've got a FX5, a Fluval FX5. This filter is old as all hell. I'll go ahead and admit that. Now, you read the instructions, you read the box on FX5, it says it's good, rated for roughly 300-ish gallons, 350 gallons worth of water. When you open up an FX5, I'm not going to open this one up, but when you open up an FX5, you can look inside, you can see that it's got compartments and drawers for filter media, several different things. I set mine up the exact same way as I did my trickle towers over there. They're set up, it's got lava rock, it's got some ceramic media, and then it also has a filter pads, the exact same things, the filter floss for the mechanical. No different. The one thing I will say, they're nice. Obviously, you're looking at spending probably $200, close to $300 for an FX6, a little more, $300, a little bit more for an FX6. My opinion, not necessarily worth the money. I'll explain why in a second. So FX5 on my 125 gallon with just my lungfish in here. The flow, if you've seen an FX5, is okay. I'm not that impressed. I'm about to move over to my 475 with my turtles in it, and then I'll kind of explain what's going on with these guys. right? So the FX5 is basically a 500-gallon barrel or 500-gallon bucket that's pressurized to contain the pressure from the pump. The pump is internal. It's a controlled amount of flow that goes into that pump. It pushes that water out. I'm showing you this video now. I'll pause it or make a second video depending on whatever my camera decides to do. But I'm showing you now this filter needs to be changed. If you look, you can see that the water is dripping out. This is a similar system. Really is the same system as an FX5. The difference is my pump is underneath. That's another Mag Drive 7 attached to that pipe right there. I'm not going to pull that entire, I'm not pulling this crate out or anything else to show you, but trust me, it's an FX7. So it pumps roughly 700 gallons per hour, just like the same one that's in my, I'm sorry, Mag Drive 7. Just like the one that's in my 220 gallon. So this filter right here is the exact same flow rate as my 220 gallon, 700 gallons per hour. This little one over here is a pond pump, the exact same model and the same gallon per hour as in the 300 gallons. So roughly 500 gallons per hour is being pumped through this pump. This filter is set up the exact same way. The difference is that I put a pipe on this one versus just holes on this one. So I'm going to pause it, unplug this bad boy, take it apart so I can explain what's going on inside. Okay, so I've pulled the filter out. I unhooked it, pulled it out, so I can go ahead and start changing it. I'm going to kind of go through the process on how I built it. This is not a new design. You look online, you can find YouTube videos, or you can look at forums and you can find directions on how to make a windy filter, a skippy filter. It's the same design. If you want to go a different route, you can look online. You can find directions on how to build really a canister filter for do-it-yourself fish tank people. A lot of stuff that I've done when it comes to my turtles, because it's all water, it's all aquariums, regardless, is I'm all part of a lot of aquarium forums. For the longest time, for 10, 15, really 20 plus years, I've been big into aquariums. I always kept turtles, but not as seriously as I do now, or reptiles, not as seriously as I have been the past 5 years, 7 years. But I've got a big knowledge base based on my aquarium experience. I've done both saltwater and freshwater, so that you're aware. Now, to explain how I built this. Again, this is a 5-gallon bucket. I got it from my local hardware store. I think this one came from Walmart. You can get them from Lowe's, Home Depot. It doesn't matter. It's a 5-gallon bucket. I went to Walmart specifically. No, it might have been Lowe's. It was Lowe's, and got basically a gasket. So what this gasket consists of is this top part right here, which is the lid. It screws into the 5-gallon bucket. Give me a second. I'll pull this off. All right. It screws into the gasket. As you can see, it's threaded. On top of that, it's got a little rubber seal. The little rubber seal is right here, right? So it's got a little rubber seal that's supposed to make it watertight. It's pressurized. So I want to say that again, it's pressurized. Because it's pressurized, that's going to create some flow. Or I'm sorry, it's going to create some issues, which is why you saw it dripping earlier. Again, this is designed to work just like the trickle tower I showed you earlier, except we're doing it a little bit differently. So here's my threaded top. There's my gasket underneath, so it's not flowing directly out. I put a little T with some PVC pipe. My pipe, I think, is 1.25 inches, or I'm sorry, 3/4 of an inch. In order to create it, you can make it whatever size you want based off of the pump that you're using. This little black seal right here is a uni seal. For me, I bought it on eBay. I got a pack from 2-inch uni seals, which is what that one is, the big one down here, on down to 3/4 inch. I used several for various projects I was doing, but I got them for I want to say I spent maybe $12 for the pack of uni seals, and I want to say it was 2 per size, going down from 2 inches down to 3/4. So the Uniseal, basically what it does is it acts just like a bulkhead. It creates a tight seal. You push through. Really, it's designed for round edges or rounded bases, like the 5-gallon bucket is I showed you. You push this through, the pipe through. You look online, you'll find plenty of videos on those as well. Creates, and then it allows me to seal the bucket as well as add additional parts like I did right here with this T, these two elbows, and this pump. I'm sorry, and this this pipe. Again, this is a dirty, like I said, this filter is dirty, it's ready to be changed. This is a dirty quilt batting, polyester quilt batting. Again, you can buy this at Walmart or one of your big box stores. I'm not sure what's available in your area. And once it gets nasty like this is, all I do is pull it out. Literally for a couple yards of it, I want to say 5 or 6 yards of it, it costs like $7 or $8 for me. Throw it away. I got this from Lowe's. It's a pot topper. Basically, this is you put on top of your soil for whatever plants you're growing to stop bugs and everything else from getting in, but still allow, it has a couple of holes in order for you to water your plants. What I did, this is 11-inch seal. Obviously, this is a 12-inch for a 5-gallon bucket, 12-inch diameter top. What I did is I drilled more holes. As you can see the different holes that I was drilling. I started with smaller holes. I got bored and tired of drilling the smaller holes, so I went with bigger holes. I drilled holes through it so it acts like a rain plate. Basically, water hits the filter pad. Once it hits the filter pad and kind of disperses, it'll hit the plastic, the hard plastic, and it has to look for holes. So basically, it creates that same rain effect that I had on my trickle tower, and it rains down. When it rains down, just like in my trickle tower, I didn't put I have used before. I don't like it as much, but I have used it before. I've used the pot scrubbies. They don't work quite as well in this system, so I went with lava rock. Lava rock is cheap, which is why I went with it. This entire bucket is filled with lava rock. Again, lava rock is extremely porous, which creates a lot of surface area for the beneficial bacteria. The fact that the bucket sits above the water level, above the water line, allows for that beneficial bacteria, that oxygenating bacteria, the nitrifying bacteria to grow, and allows for me to do the exact same thing. According to most forums that you read or most videos that you watch, this 5-gallon bucket, because I don't have all those barriers and all that extra plastic and extra silliness that you get in the FX5, this bucket one bucket is rated for roughly 600 gallons. I've got 2 on my setup. Obviously, this one is pumping 700 gallons per hour through it. My other bucket is only doing 500 gallons per hour. So obviously, at the most, my smaller bucket or the smaller pump, that filter is only doing 500 gallons per hour, whereas this one is doing 600. I'm not going to say 700. It could be doing 700 gallons per hour, but I don't know. 600 gallons. And that's all because I've got media that is porous. It's plenty of surface area for the beneficial bacteria to grow on and everything else. The filter total cost was maybe $150, $200 compared to an FX6. I changed my filter media a little bit more frequently, but it's still a decent filter regardless. And in reality, you can probably do it for a lot cheaper than what I did. My smaller 5-gallon bucket, the other 5-gallon bucket, was less than $150 because the pump, I got from one of the box stores. That pump was maybe $60, $5-ish for the bucket, another $6 for this lip and the gasket here. The pipe costs maybe, for this much pipe, maybe $3. And then the Uniseal was about $1.15. I want to say this was maybe $5. So I'm looking at roughly $120 total for this pump versus the $150 to $350 you're going to pay for an FX6 depending on where you live. It's much cheaper to do it yourself. It's just as efficient, if not more efficient, and I'm not having any issues. Because it's so cheap, you can build multiple for the same price you would pay for that FX5 or the FX6 that I have on my other system. And I'm getting just as good a filtration, if not better. So this is me again, trying to pass a little bit of information. I am definitely not an expert by any means. I'm a hobbyist just like the rest of you, and I'm learning just like you guys are. I want to teach you guys what I know so that you can make smart decisions. I'm not rich by any means. So I'm constantly looking for ways to save money whenever possible. I do all my fish keeping, all my turtle keeping, my animal keeping on a budget, just like the bulk of you. I don't have unlimited funds to get the most elaborate and expensive stuff. So these are just tricks of the trade that I've been using to do what I'm doing. All right, that's my time.